4. And we're going to kick off down in the bottom right-hand side in the blue for Storm Gaming. This is Nina.
I think we are expecting a lot of the craziness to come out of her. This man, I'm expecting to be a little more solid. I often kind of compare him to an NA Showtime. He just sits back, scouts a lot, and likes to macro up. Hailing from Canada, it is DisK.
Yeah. I've always been impressed watching DisK in the EU weeklies. I feel like he's a really fun player to watch in like the round of 32. You know, where like not quite all the top EU players are meeting each other. But then DisK gets against someone like Harston for example, and it always makes for like a very entertaining best of 3.
Yeah, and once more, DisK is not a very tricky guy, right? He's like, at first you're like, oh, NA Protoss, how crazy is it gonna get? But DisK is honestly not very crazy, guys. The man likes to open up with Stalkers, follows it up with Sentries, sometimes even the 3 or 4 Sentries, and just spams hallucinated Phoenixes and kind of takes the game from there. Obviously, when you start that sentence, he sends out a second prop and he's gonna proxy something. But yeah, I've been impressed with him. Like I said, we've seen so many people just kind of start playing StarCraft seriously. They get really good immediately, and all of a sudden they're part of the elite of the scene. DisK has been around for a long time, man. When I lived in America, I battled with him on the ladder all the time. And, you know, there were a couple of guys that were around his level. But he's the only one that has really made that jump to actually participate in the in the pro scene. And now make it into the players of the DreamHack Masters.
Yeah, I feel like it's nice to actually have someone that's been like on the rise slowly, because it has been like meteoric rises recently that we've been focused on. I know, you know, Clem's been around for a long time. But the rate at which he went from being like, you know, a pro player to like the best in Europe was ridiculous, you know? So it's nice to see someone who's just gradually, I know this is now North America, not Europe, but, you know, it's nice to see someone, you know, climbing those ranks, then starting to put in a bit more effort, seeing rewards, and, you know, making this next step, which is a good playoff run already.
And also combining it with streaming. It's not like he was sitting in the dark in his basement playing custom games all day. Like, nope, the man is having a good time, talking to his audience with a lovely French-Canadian accent and just making some progress on the ladder and playing a very steady and solid style in general. This game, though, DisK is going to bring a little bit of fire and fury as we see the proxy Stargate going up on the right side. I'm not sure what Nina has seen so far. I do always enjoy casting Nina, because saying that it's like, you never know what you're going to get is a bit of a cliche. But it is kind of true for Nina. It's just, you know, she's always able to surprise you in a best of 3 or best of 5.
Proxy Stargate, but we'll still kind of expand fairly quickly, so we'll have that faster expansion, but we'll also have, you know, the combination of just the Oracle still hitting pretty soon after, so fun little combo, mixing it up a little bit in a way you might not quite expect, and, you know, I gotta say, I don't mind it.
Taking a look at the rally point, the first Oracle is rallied towards the natural. I was wondering if this was gonna bank up 2 Oracles or not. It seems like the answer is no, but yeah, there is already a shield battery in the main base, so maybe Nina knows that DisK is quite fond of the Oracle first. Let's see if he actually reveals the first Oracle or not. I would prefer to see him not reveal it and wait until he's got 2, especially if the Stargate never got scouted, but obviously it's easier said than done when you know there is a shield battery in the main base.
Yeah, no, for sure. We definitely have the info to make that call, as he's going to come in and kind of realize the same thing. I guess, honestly, he's actually going to activate here, which I think is a mistake. Wasting a bit of energy that wasn't necessary. I was going to say maybe Nina, with the hallucination, starts to figure it out anyway. Still doesn't see tech, etc. Double Twilight Council. I don't think this is going to be Blink and charging combo already. But, you know,
for a while I actually mentioned it, that there are unique scenarios where you can justify Double Twilight. This is obviously not one of them, guys. I'm not going to defend it now. But there were these crazy PvT scenarios where you would open up with something cheesy and deal a lot of damage, but then you know that the Terran attack was coming. And on one end, you wanted to have Blink. On the other end, you want to have Charge. And then I tried to explain this to people, and they're like, no, you're really stupid, mate. Like, that's never a thing. And I'm like, no, guys, trust me. Like, once in 100, it's actually a good call to go Double Twilight. That Twilight was obviously supposed to be a Forge, which means Nina's losing some resources, and our Forge is a bit later, too.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate mistake. Just a little bit of an error in PvP that can make the world of difference, because what would have been a much faster +1 is now going to be, what, about the same time as DisK. So Yeah, it's definitely a little bit rough in that regard, and yeah, especially because this now basically gets away with these oracles, and what's his disadvantage? A later blink? Well, he can make up for that playing defensively a lot of the time. The oracles
Almost
activate
feels
for the
like
third.
Yeah, I feel like DisK could have killed that probe a little bit sooner, and then that Nexus wouldn't have gone down yet. It's not a hatchery that we can just kill with a couple of oracles. And you kind of need 3 for that anyway. But not that big of a deal. In the end of the day, it seems like this is shaping up to be a nice macro game, which is kind of what I was hoping for. I think it's safe to say that DisK is a little bit of a M-Kenning when it comes to Blinkstalker Disruptor. I think he's quite fond of it, but also not the kind of player that will always rush into it. DisK will definitely just go for Zealots and Archons and Immortals. But if he feels like he's got the time to get the Disruptors out, he will not shy away from it.
Yeah, I've seen him definitely like a more aggressive kind of guy who, will also be like, okay, if I can get there, sure, but isn't afraid to attack, early either. So, yeah.
It's a bit of everything with DisK. But I do like him. He's a great dude. I always, when I lived in America, I always played against DisK and Migraine. And, back then they were around the same level. Maybe DisK was like a little bit better. But I was like, whenever I met either of them, I was like, it's going to be annoying. I really have to do my best this game. Which wasn't always the case on the NA ladder. And over time, I was like, man, DisK is getting like not just annoying, but really annoying. It just keeps getting better. Shouldn't people like stagnate? But he just didn't stagnate. He's been improving ever since. And now I think it's safe to say that this is the best DisK we've ever seen.
Sure. No, it's been a cool story to follow as we have just a few more minutes to chitter-chatter, Roddy, because not much happening. Finally, some Stalkers coming across the map, but this is Romanticide, so past these first couple Stalker attacks, it's very likely you get into a situation where neither player really, ends up really wanting to attack, and we just start building up for a much later stage of the game.
Yep, it seems like DisK wants to distract Nina here with his Blinkstalkers, which should open the door for the Oracles to potentially find a little bit of damage. It's important you don't lose too many Stalkers doing it. Nina is absolutely reading into this though. Pulls her probes immediately, ends up losing 2 probes, but should get 1 Oracle, does get 1 Oracle. Excellent defense by Nina. I don't think she really could have done that any better.
Yep. Nicely done. And really just minimizing damage. Now, of course, the 1 Oracle will not get much done itself, so kind of the end of that threat here in this game.
Nina is immediately taking both of her simulators, or not immediately, as the Nexus has been up, but taking both the simulators. Well, okay, now indeed dropping the Robo Bay, and then we'll potentially see a second Robo. While DisK, he is gonna go into the Zealots and the Archons. And obviously that should normally create a bit of an opportunity to attack. And again, attacking on Romanticide PvP can be kind of hard, right? Even if you have a Zealot advantage and 1 or 2 Archons, attacking into shield batteries, that's no joke.
Nope. It's not easily done at all. You gotta be very respectful of it, as Nina is gonna come through from this right side. See what she can do. DisK is not quite in position immediately. He's got a lot of Zealots that don't have charge just yet, so maybe a good time for Nina to trade out a little while, like the force fields that will force a blink back, and that just makes life that little bit tougher. And maybe that's all that DisK really needed to truly hold on to this.
Yep. Charge is gonna finish up in 10 seconds, but you're spot on, Waddy. This is not a nice moment for DisK to see this army show up at his front door. It's like, man, I know my army is technically better, but without charge, I can't really do it. And you also don't want to A-move too much there, because we all know that Zealots are a bit stupid and like to run away from the Stalkers. As the second Oracle gets picked off too. I'm actually starting to feel this for Nina, as she's comfortably making her way into Disruptors. And DisK does have a Robo Bay, but only has a single Robo. I think Nina already has double Robo indeed. Yeah, this is actually not really going DisK's way, is it?
No, it's definitely, I feel like the little things are going Nina's way, but also not so much to the point where it's game deciding yet. Definitely advantage Nina, but on a map like Romanticide, plenty of time for things to change. We get a couple probes, make that 3, and we should be done with these adepts, but not bad to get a couple of adepts and be annoying again. And now we blink through for 1 observer kill as well, so DisK gets a couple of kills himself. On his way to Disruptors, yeah, we'll be down on Disruptors, but how many times have we seen Disruptors blow each other up and change everything in an instant?
Many times, Waddy. I don't have the exact number, but many times.
I should keep count for moments like this, Roddy.
I'll start keeping count. I've got a whiteboard next to my PC. I'll write it down from this point on. If you ask me that question again in a year, I have the exact number for you.
I'll just ask you next season and see how it's going.
I just kind of wonder, what is the purpose of the Zealots now? Because you don't really want to max out with this many Zealots in your army, especially not if it's turning into a Disruptor war, because you can't really run into it, because running into your opponent when it's Disrupt against Disrupt is just very hard. Waiting or trying to take a fight without Disruptors, I think it's just way too late for that. I'm kind of wondering, DisK, what are we going to do with our Zealots? Seems like he's setting up a tiny run by as he's also trying to flank with a Disruptor. That's not working out. Why did we recall? Ooh, Prism in the main.
Yeah, gets turned around, doesn't go down. Both players on the way up to a Dark Shrine, so thinking about the, future of harassing in this as well. Making progress there. Yeah, no, you see Nina actually going to give either one to come around this right side. I mean, I guess defensively, Zealots might be able to do okay. Force units back a little more, so maybe the Zealots will work out for DisK here. Has to dodge back from the first Disruptors, though. Hasn't got a few counterattacking. Oh, just loses that one. Nina is able to take the better trade. Now the blink out to make sure Nina doesn't lose too much more. Exciting start of this Disruptor war, but now DisK is getting in. It is going to be, killing one, but the other one gets the shot off. And a misfire from the back from Nina. It's a little bit chaotic right now.
Understatement. It is very chaotic. I was like, who do I like it for? But I think in the end, it's okay for DisK. At least he gets Nina out of this position. But it's going to be hard to keep it like this because the Disruptors were not all here. One more Nova goes forward, connects with a couple of Stalkers, and the Archon. Nina blinks forward. That obviously means you can avoid additional Disruptors, but she somehow does because they were too far in the back. And Nina's just kind of outmaneuvering DisK so far.
Yeah, definitely seems to be having a much better time here going this way and that way. And a set of force fields are going to come down and keep DisK back a little bit. He's going to blink through. He needs to kill off some Disruptors right now. Disruptor shots are going to be flying on top of Stalkers. And I just can't understand the blink forward and not instantly starting to target fire some of those Disruptors. That's also not a blink. Doesn't get far enough forward with it. And DisK has lost so very much here. Nina is just going to come through and start ending this game. She has blink though, which means that this Disruptor shot goes off, turning it around a little bit. Another one comes through, and all of a sudden, Roddy, the supplies are dead even because this game is more than just chaotic.
Nice little tug of war there. It's like, I'm winning, you're winning, I'm winning, you're winning. And it just went back and forth. I'll be honest, I didn't hate the forward blink by Nina. I was like, that's it. She's done it, She's kind of won the fight, and now you can start microing, jump on top of those Immortals. Yeah, that's when the Disruptor showed up that you really didn't want to see show up. If that Disruptor shows up 4 seconds later, everything is fine because then she can just avoid the Nova again. And now it became a bit pricey in the end. Does fire forward and Nova. This needs to be careful. There's a couple of Disruptors on the side. Fires a Nova forward, and that's a big one, Marty. As Nina loses 2 of her Disruptors and a couple Stalkers on top of it.
Absolutely brutal. And DisK, well, definitely making a bit more progress. Has +3 against +2 as well, by the way, which can make a minor difference in some of these trade-outs.
Look at the units lost resource step. There's 12 difference. 12! We are 12 resources apart, 14 minutes into our game. You guys wonder if it's been even? Yeah, the answer is yes, it's been very, very even. As Nina is going to find one more Disruptor. The army of DisK is running into a Nova, does barely avoid it. My goodness, though, the fact that DisK was able to hang in there after Nina had secured that position on the high ground, I'm very impressed. I also love the force fields, because there was only a single Archon in the mix, but that Archon went down to the Stalkers and that one Nova. So yeah, the force fields were really smart. It's just that final blink, and no, Nina not paying attention. She thought that DisK's army already left, and just like that, this could very well be the end of this PvP, even though 2 Disruptors do go down. But those shots, they weren't just good, Marty. They were illegal.
Yeah, and oh my god, clips another Disruptor there. I thought it was amazing that the cannon got killed on a Disruptor too, but yeah, this game's just got everything. As Nina way behind on the supply right now, and DisK looking comfortable as, well, I mean, it was a really crazy game, but not over yet, don't want to say that, but obviously starting to lean much more so in favor of DisK than it has for anybody in this game so far.
Yep. It is so important in PvP to always be aware of where the army of your opponent is. It was pretty obvious that Nina thought that DisK already sent his army towards the top right side. So she's like, oh, I'm going to try to cut it off when it's retreating home. All of a sudden, DisK walks down that ramp, fires 2 Novas that exploded in the center of the army. All the Disruptors go down, a lot of Stalkers go down. Nina is trying to catch up in supply. A lot of Zealots in the mix now. We all know with Zealots, you're going to need something special. Just A-moving is not going to get it done. You're going to need to set up a very good engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. As DisK Just kind of playing around this area. That's a good connection. 2 disruptors of DisK going down. They've had a couple trades like that back and forth up and down that ramp. As we will see, I mean, again, it's a romanticide. These bases are choked up. It's difficult to push up into them. And DisK definitely feeling that a little bit. Now his disruptors kind of on their own to the top. I know the units are only off to the left-hand side, but it's got to be a little careful because if Nina sees that, that might be an option or an opportunity to pull the trigger on this. And oh my goodness, those disruptor shots again so close to each other. DisK, where are you going? He's just going to go to the third base.
Why is this happening, Marty? What?
I have no idea.
I mean, sure, the rest of the army is definitely finding an opening in the bottom, but that just felt so risky and wild to me. And now we do need to be a bit careful here if your name is DisK, as Novas actually kind of get avoided. Another Nova is only blowing up. The Zealot, one more Nova gets picked up. Okay, these Novas have done more harm than good. The final one is good. Wow, what are these fights, man?
I mean, what was this move? I thought he was like, okay, play the disruptors the top side, flanking up this ramp and get on this Nexus. No, go for the Nexus bottom side, but then you have no disruptors in your army. Yeah, and then for Nina to start blowing up her own units more than they blew up disks. Oh, this was a fantastic first game, Roddy. Had an absolutely top-tier entertainment value.
That's perhaps the best way to put it. Is not there's no observer on the side of this. So these Dark Templars are having a field day. But it's safe to say that DisK already found the damage that he was looking for. His disruptors are once more kind of exposed, but the rest of the army is here. And this is not a fight that Nina can take, and I think she knows it. Her final Dark Templars go down. 143 supply against 78. Doesn't seem like a fair fight. What a game, Marty. What a game.
Dude, absolute utter madness. What the heck was this? I don't even know where to begin recapping this one because it's just been that utterly crazy. It's had absolutely everything. Wow, if the rest of the series is half as fun as this, we're in for a wild night of NA, Roddy, as a couple of DTs from Nina will try and do something back across the other side of the map, pumping out 3 disruptors at a time to see if she can stick around in this, but I get the feeling that DisK's next attack might just be one attack too many.
Yeah, tripling the army supply, that's, I mean, at this point, well, going up the ramp is always hard, but I think the DisK can just blink on top of the remaining units, and he should know it, as Nina is finding some damage with her Dark Templars, and that's actually going to force a recall.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were ever going to see a recall being used by some time, but yeah, even losing 4 DTs when you have 95 supply and not the best income is very expensive.
Yeah, definitely it's a, it's a good idea, but, it's really a save me kind of move, and then what else are you really doing? Well, maybe you get a chance to get some more disruptor shots off, which, yeah, in fairness, they went okay, but you just need so much more than that still as Nina. There's still so much to be done to truly play catch-up here. Yeah, it's a tough one.
This game is really fun, but I
It is.
don't know if anything will be more fun than Trigger versus Pili Pili on Blackburn. Like, I was half watching that game, and I literally saw both of them attacking one another with shield batteries on the other side of the map. And at one point it felt like that game was going on for half an hour and it was only 13 minutes. And I'm like, how the hell is this PvP still going on? Like, it just made no sense. I was like, man, NA PvP is something special, that's for sure.
NA PvP really has been the best kind of PvP for quite a while, right? I feel like, Neep and Australia had those crazy PvPs last year. And ever since then, all the pros in NA were like, right, we've got to make something spectacular every time this matchup is played on our server.
The Disruptor fired first on the side of DisK, so we'll get the connection. Once more, the flanking Disruptors coming in from the top, and they find what they are looking for. That's cash money, and that is going to do it for this first game. DisK takes the 1-0 lead here in the lower bracket of the DreamHack SC2 Masters NA. After quite a ride. I often say buckle up and enjoy the ride. I don't know if a belt would save me from this game, Marty.
I don't think so at all, man. This was some illegal maneuvers all across the road and everything to get to the end. It was a wild experience. I'm just about to say I'm glad we enjoyed it together because it was a lot of fun, and that was just game number 1. So game 2 coming up. I mean, like I said, it'd be difficult to imagine it can even be half as mad as that.
You know, I casted a PvP, I think it was between Drogo and Gongfu earlier this season on the Romanticide, where Drogo was able to take that position on the top left side. Or it was Drogo versus DNF? No, it was one of the Protoss he played. But basically, the moment that the army is there, it's so hard for the defender actually to get in the right position. Eventually, DisK somehow did it, but then indeed he blinked forward and he just ate like 4 massive novas to the face. We're like, wow, this can't possibly end right. And then it really didn't look like it was going to end right. And then the Immortals were kind of just left by themselves if the fight moved a bit further towards the right. And I really cannot blame Nina for going for that forward blink, because that is, I think, the blink that almost everyone would make. It's like the Zealots are gone, the Disruptors are gone, the Immortals are by themselves. This is when Stalkers are actually good against Immortals. You blink forward, and 2 Disruptors straight out of Protoss Hell show up to land the biggest, I don't know what I'm going to say the biggest Novas of the game, but definitely game-changing Novas that kept DisK in it.
I almost felt like DisK was maybe a little bit like... I felt like he was a bit nervous getting into it almost, like a couple of things that didn't quite come together initially. A couple of, sloppier plays than expected, but really kind of tied it up towards the end and, yeah, made it work out. After, like you said, there was definitely that moment where it looked like Nina just straight up, done enough, about to win the game, and then Disruptors from Hell just show up and make Nina's life a misery, fortunately.
It all started off with a proxy Stargate. And 13 minutes in, we were 12 resources apart. After losing 12,000 something resources, that's quite unique and quite telling of how even that game was. Game 2 is going to be played on Jagannatha. Since there is no ramp really leading into the natural, this is one of these maps where you often see not necessarily just the straight up 3-gate or the 3-gate robo, but you see a lot of weird attacks as well, right? It's like not a 2-base attack, but it's like a 1.5 base attack. It's like, we've got a Nexus, but we're still going to surprise you with an attack. And I would not be surprised at all if we're going to see some earlier aggression this game.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool as well, mix up a little bit. Maybe that's what Nina also just needs as well in this series, if does just have that little bit of an edge in the macro in the longer games. Again, a lead early, and you can turn that into maybe like a 2-base attack to then truly end the game, a few minutes down the line and so on. Maybe that's Nina's road to victory here. So we'll find out how it's going to look, Roddy. We go into game number 2 on Jagannatha. Let's see if we get a little bit of that earlier aggression, or if these two just want to expand it up and end up going towards that later game. We're going to start it off in the top right-hand side in the blue. Unfortunately, down 1-0 is the blue Protoss player, Nina.
That, of course, means that in the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of our French-Canadian Protoss. It is DisK. How long do you think he's been working on that beard?
A good long.
Yeah, right. That doesn't grow in a year, or does it?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm
I
not
felt
sure.
personally attacked when Netania started talking about guys who can rock the beard. And I'm sitting here, not a hair on my face. I'm like, well, Nate. It's a choice, okay?
It's okay, Roddy. Each used to look like that, I believe.
I don't think I could ever grow a beard like this. It would drive me insane, man. It's gotta be so itchy, no?
Yeah, I get, my beard gets a bit longer than it is right now, and I'm like pulling it out almost. I'm like, I can't stand it, but yeah, I can't. I guess you get used to it, right? Like, if it's just there long enough, it's just like it becomes part of it.
Yeah, the beard and you become one.
Yeah, I guess so.
All my Dutch buddies that are not the gamers, all rocking similar beards. Well, not all of them, but a couple. Some a bit shorter, some even longer. And I'm like showing up, and I'm the only non-beard guy in the mix. And, well, I don't know, guys. It's like if I don't shave myself for a day and a half, I go crazy, man. It's so itchy. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, no, it's I always feel like it's like one extra thing. Like, I don't have time to like look after like a full-on beard as well, Like, I got games to play. I've got streams to do,
That too, yeah. I've heard there's like a whole care packages for the beards. It's like, oh yeah, you rub this in and then it smells nice. And I'm like, what? This is a thing? It's like, I just learned this the other week. I was like, there's a market for this? I don't people just grow hair, What do I know? All right, so far everything seems very standard in this PvP. As you guys can see, it's a 2-gate or 2-gate. It should be an expand on both sides because we don't see any buildings being proxied. DisK once again drops this pile, and this is something that happened last game. We didn't really address it. That's obviously pretty straightforward. Last game, DisK decided to let it finish up. Maybe that's because last game he had that proxy, and he just wanted to make sure that the units stayed in the main base a bit longer. Now, because the only thing it really achieved is that you can see which units are popping out of the gateway.
Yep. There's biggest difference right now is definitely just 4 Stalkers versus the 2 sentries that just got made from Nina. So a little bit more gas in the bank, probably for DisK. He actually queues up 2 more Stalkers, so he's going to keep on being aggressive. And now pylon build on top side. Looks as though he might really keep this up for quite a few Stalker warpins, maybe even, and go across the map.
I just wonder if he's going to build a gateway there or not. I feel like he will not, because
so
it's too late for a gateway. Yeah. But you can definitely just be aggressive of a 2-gate as well. You make 6 Stalkers out of your regular gateways, and then you can warp in 2 Stalkers on the other side of the map, and you can show up with 8 Stalkers, which is obviously more than enough to gun down units, even if there is a battery keeping these units safe. This scout of Nina is going to be very important. That hallucinated Phoenix will see that this main base warding is a little naked. Unlike the beard, the beard covers everything. But this main base, it doesn't have much to show for, and that should make the alarm bells go off. But just because you know something is coming doesn't mean it's going to be easy. The force fields for Nina have to be spot on. Nina's misreading this because he's sending units into the main. That's not good for her.
Well, they pull back around, but now the couple force fields come down instantly. Super battery goes off, and DisK is trying to power through the super battery, but it takes him so long. That was not the right call.
Nope.
He kind of started on the super battery, then he stopped because he thought he could one-shot a couple units, but it slipped up. The force fields messed him up. They were good enough.
Yeah. You have to be very, very decisive if you go for attacks like the one that DisK went for. And either you run all 8 Stalkers just deep into the natural immediately, don't care about force fields and try to kill that battery, or you kind of poke, activate battery overcharge, and you disengage. But he went for the middle down the road, and that's the worst thing indeed that he could have gone for, because now he did 7 or 8 shots on the battery, didn't kill the battery, and really struggled killing a single sentry, and we ended up with only killing a single sentry and losing 3 Stalkers. Out of all the ways that this could have played that Wadi, that was the worst one.
Yeah, that was absolutely just not it at all. And look at the deficit he comes out with, just behind on workers because, well, you know, he built his own expansion so much later, and behind on tech a little bit as well. He was going to start a Dark Shrine, but there's a robo on the way from Nina, so we shouldn't really catch Nina off guard or anything. And, it's looking pretty darn good here for Nina to maybe tie the series up if she can keep this lead.
Yep. At this point, Nina doesn't really have to do a whole lot. Like, you just kind of keep building probes, you wait for Blink to finish up, you make sure you don't die to something random like Dark Templars. DisK obviously knows about the cannon that has been warped in the natural. We've seen that a couple of times. I think the only thing I'd like to see from Nina is just go up to 3 bases as soon as he can. As the Adepts do make their way into the main base. DisK is gonna find 3 probes if he doesn't miss target. Yeah, pretty much the best he could have hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad as well. Definitely helps to catch up a bit on the worker count as we see a blink from DisK Star, but that will be way far behind. Let's see what these DTs can do. Probably not a lot, right?
No, this is really not a good idea, DisK. You know there is a cannon there, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, now you just kind of reveal the fact. At least there's no observer yet, so DisK is able to keep Nina on 3 bases a little bit longer.
It's coming though. It's on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe a slight delay. Now you actually lose one of the DTs. The other, if Nina realizes it's over there, yep, it's going to go hunted down. So both the DTs go down for nothing, and everything is just kind of failing in this game number 2 for DisK.
And it all started with that Stalker attack that absolutely had some potential, especially when Nina ran 2 of her Stalkers into the main base. Maybe worry about Oracles or something along those lines. There was an opportunity, but once more, just got to be so decisive. You know that the shield battery is going to be there, unless, you're just walking into your Protoss Dream where you open up with 8 Stalkers and your opponent was very greedy. That battery is pretty much always there, and then you just got to figure it out. Do you want to jump on top of it, or do you want to just activate overcharge, disengage, and then go again? But you can't start shooting at the battery, and then while battery overcharge is active, then go for units. That's just, it really puts you in a very big deficit.
Yep, absolutely. It's just, like you said, decisiveness is just really everything in that moment, and we can see why. We've seen the repercussions of it right now, and Well, DisK has a couple extra probes up, but Nina has an army supply lead and should probably be able to make something happen. I mean, charge coming through, maybe with charge finishing, you just go for a larger attack. And I guess it comes down to if DisK can pull off a defense, maybe that's his way back in this game. Probe up a little harder, try and find the defense, and then maybe you can recover into an advantage. And I like this. DT going to slip by now that units have moved on the map. I think that's definitely the road to doing damage.
Yep, and if you control this Dark Templar properly, you can maybe find a couple probes. Good response there by Nina, though. She's really on top of everything in this game. DT can still be annoying. Now, the Immortal is not going to help out that much. Now, obviously, look at this Immortal just shooting 17 times at Stalkers. But normally, this fight is a little more about Zealots and Stalkers than it is about an Immortal, because the Immortal will most of the time be forced to shoot at Zealots. But DisK doesn't have too many Zealots. Okay, DisK is getting a RoboBay now, which I really don't approve of, Wardy. DisK needs to worry about surviving, mate. Your early game wasn't that good. You can't just rush into a RoboBay.
Yeah, RoboBay is like the last thing that should be on your mind right now. Get units out, make sure you survive this, and again, maybe you can go from there. It's not gone badly for DisK to begin with. That Super Battery put in some serious work and really kept everything alive. Comes through and looks as though DisK, I mean, on the right track, but again, just imagine there's a RoboBay here, right? Or no RoboBay here and a couple extra units. I make the difference. Blinking in, actually going to chase down those Archons. They can't move as quickly. Loses one of them, Nina. Now going to turn for the straight-up fight. But you know what? There's this DT that's chasing down as well, and he's going to do some damage.
Yep, there is an Observer now, so this needs to be a bit more careful. That Archon is super low on HP. I'm sure that DisK would love to kill it. Instead, it's DisK who ends up losing his Observer there, I believe, in the end. I mean, the fact that DisK held, I find pretty impressive. Batteries really are amazing. And I don't think that Nina really needed to go for Archons when she did. I think that Nina could have just spammed Zealots and Stalkers, because it was pretty obvious that DisK was doing that, but Nina would have done it with a little advantage and just more numbers. Yeah, if you go Archons, it just becomes a bit of a different fight. And Archons don't really shine against Stalkers, they shine against Zealots.
Yep, no, that's very, very true. Definitely wasn't the moment where Archons are maybe the most necessary as DisK building his first Disruptor, as is Nina, but Nina's got that second Robo facility already coming through, so we're going to be seeing Nina with maybe a little bit of an extra Disruptor count for a while. Just going to get a second Robo going. I mean, following this defense, the game really has evened out a lot, so now we get into Disruptor Wars. I'd say any differences really, they disappear in the snap of your fingers. All of a sudden, everything's gone because of Disruptors, so yeah, looks like we're going to get ourselves a nice little bit of even gameplay on Jagannatha.
And if the previous game is anything to go by, that should favor DisK. There are still some little advantages that carry over from the early game. Nina is going up to 4 bases earlier, and the Observer count is 2 against 0. I know it's a weird thing to be hyped over Observers, guys, but vision is very important in PvP. So that should hopefully allow Nina to take some good fights with her Disruptors.
Yeah, being able to know where Disruptors are coming from, being able to know where you should be sending your Disruptor shots out to. Definitely the right idea.
That is War Prism speed, correct?
Yes.
I always confuse the two. They look so similar. One is dark blue and the other one... I actually would prefer Observer speed here over War Prism speed. But I guess with a speedy Prism you can get into the main base and go for Zealot DT weapons.
Do you want to know the difference between the images for Prism and Observer speed?
Tell me.
The Prism speed looks like the back of a War Prism, and the Observer looks like you're looking at the back of an Observer.
I don't pay attention to those. Like, I look at that thing and... Like, if you would tell me, oh, that's a War Prism from a top with its wings spread out, I would believe it. Like, what am I looking at? I never know what I'm looking at with these little images.
I feel like it's more obvious with the Observer one.
Okay.
Anyway.
I just know that the Observer is dark blue, and I love Observer speed. There we go. Looks the same to me. That could have been a War Prism. What if you would tell me that that's a War Prism? I'd believe it.
Disruptor Shot clips a couple of Stalkers here as Nina gets aggressive and just going to be seeing another Disruptor Shot going forward. And obviously, DisK just hasn't been able to fire a single shot just yet. So, Nina gets a couple of Structures, but not much else. DisK, has to be obviously cautious of that and is cautious enough. Yeah, I guess nothing really gained here from Nina. As couple of big things though, +3 about to be done for Nina, and Shadow Stride already on the way, so just gonna have the DTs with Blink to be a little bit better at harassing.
If DisK would move his Observer like 2 inches to the right, he would see the Observer of Nina sitting there, and that would make his life a lot easier. He's sending out a couple Stalkers now to get a good idea. Oh, these fights are so random. I mean, I always wondered just how fast are those balls? What?
Yeah, they really fly.
Yeah, they go
really
so
fly.
much deeper.
Yeah.
Look, that would never connect.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. That is... Ooh. Somehow managed to blink only the stalkers that were out of range of the disruptor there. That was a funky little situation.
Another one. I feel like we need DJ Khaled for these games. It's like every Nova that goes, he just screams that it's another one. I'd be down.
Import the soundboard. Let's get it going.
A lot of Dark Templars. Yeah. Casually just walking in. The Dark Templars don't have Blink yet. This many Dark Templars is still something you have to respect. I think they do have Blink. Apparently I looked at the wrong tab. Yes, I had things switched by accident. So these Dark Templars will get 14 probes immediately. Start working on the Nexus. Did we recon Observer? Yes, we did.
Okay.
Now I like it less, actually, because that's a lot of DTs to lose.
I feel like the blink in was almost unnecessary when there's no units there. I know you get on top of that cannon quickly, but then you're guaranteeing those observers, those DCs, sorry, basically die, and then, that's a little bit expensive, right? And 15 probes is suddenly a little bit more affordable for DisK. Yeah, I don't mind that so much. I don't think that's so crazy good for Nina that DisK is super upset about it.
I'm totally with you. DisK did say in his interview that he hates playing against Skytoss. I see +1 air weapons on the way. Like, what is that supposed to show? Like the +1 air weapons little icon. Like, what is that?
I've got no idea.
No, like, who can explain that? That has to do with airships. I don't know. I don't see it. I never see anything. But anyway, Stargates are on the way, and that obviously means that Nina has a possibility to head into some of those carriers. Some European pro players actually go straight into Tempest, right? We casted one of those games, and I was like, what? Like, really? We're going with Tempest Disruptor? Sure, but also no. Because you just have, like, no reliable DPS, right? It feels like your army is just so fragile. As we do have a War Prism in the main base and a lot of Dark Templars. Link on top of that cannon, too. This really needs to get an Observer over here.
Disruptors flanking, but they were seen ahead of time, and massive shots go off in favor of Nina. DisK losing out on those Disruptors. Good idea, just not actually the execution that was needed. Now this Robo facility is being targeted by DTs as well. In the Zealots that warp in and try and fight this just aren't doing anything. Now the Observer shows up, but yeah, Robo going down. This was a really good warp in for Nina again. A lot of damage done.
Yep, and Nina actually has her own Observer here too, so a couple of Dark Templars of DisK is simply not going to be good enough. The armies are starting to get awfully close to each other, mate. They are playing some really stressful games. Nina is absolutely getting the best of all of this, because that War Prism in the main base has just caused so much chaos. But that doesn't mean that it's already over, because one Nova is all it takes. The Disruptor count is so high, 11 against 9, Marty.
Yeah, no, it's really crazy. Again, losing the Robo definitely hurts. I think the biggest thing is Nina just building those carriers, so has a pretty strong follow-up, especially if you get up to, like, maybe not past the first 3. 3 are good, 6 even better. That's why I think DisK is really going to run into trouble trying to fight this.
DisK just had like 8 Disruptors standing near a rock without any vision around them. It's like one Nova from the high ground, and that would have gone terribly wrong. Oh.
Not the acceleration zones again.
I know, like, it's so hard to calculate how fast they're gonna go and how far they can go. Like, we're used to only a certain thing. As another War Prism shows up in the main base, the previous War Prism took a solid minute to take care of. This time it's only a couple Zealots since Nina is maxed out. She's not able to warp in any more units. Could find a Disruptor here, and she does find it. DisK is once more gonna try to set up the flank by the looks of it. These fights are giving me an anxiety attack.
I know, and that's why, because one Disruptor shot just changes everything in an instant, and it is going to go against DisK. Well, Nina's kind of winning this out anyway. These Disruptors are hardcore trying to flank Roddy. They're trying to give Nina 0 option to escape. Blink in, though, and now you don't have much choices, but, well, the Disruptor's also able to connect in the go as DisK. Oh my god, one Disruptor didn't recall out, and it hit so many Stalkers.
On purpose. Calculated.
Yeah, really nicely done. Wow. I mean, okay, PvP is still crazy here. DisK, I actually think, just doesn't have... Isn't he just missing... He only has one Robo? He just can't rebuild as much. I mean, he's got so much money, he's building nothing.
Nina is expanding above the main base of DisK.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I mean, sure, Nina has a lot of money, but it's also important that she gets an army out again. Carriers are amazing, but only in higher numbers. 1 or 2 carriers is not necessarily enough to win the game. That next is almost disrespectful.
Yeah, no reason. I mean, yeah, you could have even expanded bottom right. I feel like that would have made more sense given where the armies had been. But nonetheless, oh no, Nina. I mean, this is kind of random, right? Because it's like, it's just the disruptors initially, but then, you know, there's so many of them that can you really go in top and kind of kill those off? Probably not. Just going to use the mobility of his army to his advantage, right? Moving around and working away from those carriers and disruptors and just trying to get damage done. I mean, Zealot's coming in, slowing this army down. DisK should keep on moving to that right side. The disruptors from Nina got too close, and DisK is taking big damage, gets 1 return shot. Really, you can still feel like DisK has just not built anything for an eternity, and now these disruptors really feel like they aren't getting out at all. They're backing themselves into the corner. They're going to try to recall. 1 goes down, 2 get out. Not bad. Blinking through. Going to go for the disruptors. You need to get rid of those immediately. There's 1 firing that DisK hasn't seen. He started target firing down carriers, but the disruptors are just doing so much. I actually didn't hate this if you just got rid of the disruptors first, maybe.
Yep, I mean, I gotta say, the Zealots are still putting a number on these. That went a lot better than I expected.
Yeah.
Because that kind of felt like a guy jumping in front of 2 tanks, but then somehow the tanks like crashed into each other and he lived, even though they drove over his legs or something. Like, that was one of the wildest engagements I've ever seen. It sort of, in a way, worked out because it did reset the carrier count a little bit. But you're right, just 1 or 2 Novas too many. I mean, the problem is it takes a long time for Stalkers to kill 6 disruptors, right? Like, you can kill 2, maybe 3, but you can also not ignore 7 carriers getting all their interceptors out right above you. I don't know. It felt like that was an impossible fight to win, but it took a lot of heart to try. And what DisK is doing is making this game more and more chaotic, and where Nina felt ultra rich for a while, that bank isn't that big anymore. If Nina loses these 2 carriers that are now being rallied into the Stalkers, Barty, this game is actually starting to get way closer than it ever should have been.
Yeah, it really is. DT's warping in here, and there's no detection, so it's just down to disruptor shots to try and defend it. So DT's will defend, and Nina will push DisK away for the moment. A couple other disruptors still being chased down. I mean, these carriers obviously doing a lot of work over here. Do you think there's ever a Stalker count that can take those carriers on?
Yeah, right now, but I don't think Nina's going to take this fight. Nina should recall. If Nina doesn't recall, then I don't know what I'm watching anymore.
Couple more disruptor shots before anything is done, so we're going to blink in. 1 carrier, 2 carriers insta-killed. Oh my
and the
God.
Nexus lives, Marty. Well, I don't know
the DTs. Yeah, DTs. Oh my goodness.
Mate, these games are so wild. Nina obviously does still have 75 probes and a lot of carriers and +3 air weapons on the way, but I gotta say, if you would have told me that 10 carriers were gonna go down in this game, I would have giggled and be like, how, Waddy? By these Stalkers? And you would have been like, yes, Waddy. And I would be like, no, not 10. Maybe 2 or 3, but not 10 carriers. 10 have gone down.
Some of our speediest disruptor balls of all time is 1 returns fire from DisK as well. Somehow his army supply is still way more competitive than it feels like it ever should have been. Man, this was it's honestly such a crazy game and so close. You know, obviously at this point Nina really seems to have it, but you know, a couple of disruptor shots go the other way and maybe DisK would have been able to just turn the tide. I think a lot of the time the real MVPs for Nina have just been those DTs. So many times just observers not available for DisK and detection not ready to go has just caused it, and we're going to go for a blink on top of these carriers. We've seen this one before. This time there's no disruptors here for Nina, but the Zealots are putting in work. The Stalkers obviously just have to take that damage, and they're going to clean out pretty much all the carriers, which is ridiculous, but well, that's basically going to be it.
Way better again than I expected. I mean, for a man who hates Skytels, he's done a pretty good job in reducing the carrier count. It's just DisK is losing this game on economy. With 37 probes, you simply cannot afford to keep playing and keep trading like that. Nina does close it out after a 22-minute banger on Jagannatha.
You know,
for the first time in a long time, I need a break, but yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really wish that when he blinked on those carriers and disruptors, he just targeted the disruptors. I would have loved to see how that would have gone if the disruptors didn't blow up all the Stalkers. I feel like that would have maybe been a game changer. We know already. Yeah, let's just go to a break. I guess we need it. After this, we'll see you guys in a sec. Complete and utter chaos here in the DreamHack SC2 Masters has broken out, and we still haven't gotten it controlled even during the break. These two are going to keep on at it, apparently, and go into game number 3. Roddy, if you had to pick a word to describe this series, what would you pick?
Mayhem?
Mayhem, yeah, it's a good one.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, I'm thinking. There are days where somebody lands a big disruptor shot and then people post it on Reddit. It's like, wow, look at this big disruptor shot. You can make 17 polls out of these first 2 games because the amount of big novas we've seen exploding in the center of armies has been too damn high. It's just been madness. That's the best way to put it. Let's go ahead and hop into game 3 as we're getting ready for Blackburn. Looking at the main base of the beautiful French Canadian. In the bottom right side, it is DisK.
And down in the bottom left-hand side, it is gonna be Nina.
All right, buddy, I've got a very important question for you.
Okay.
If you were observing this game on your stream, who would be on the top side of the scoreboard at the bottom?
Oh, Nina top, DisK bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Because left should be at the top and right bottom should be at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Thank you, Njal. I know it's not as clear cut as some of the other maps where you've got a top and bottom spawn, but yeah, I still just feel like you read from left to right, so then it makes a little bit more sense to start the one on the left side at the top side of your board. As this time things are a bit different here, as DisK is going for a 1-gate fast expand by the looks of it in the natural, going for the oxide approach. Meanwhile, Nina is just pretending this is a normal map and is going to build her gateways at the top side of her map.
Yeah, which is obviously something you can do, but a lot of the time I feel like there's not really many losses to just going low ground unless you're really just gonna, I don't know, stick around one base for a while longer. I don't know. Just feels like this gives you a nice little expansion and you play from there.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nina obviously did go for a very early probe scout, which is important because I've played a lot of PvPs over the last, well, not as many as I used to, but I still played a reasonable amount of PvPs. And I'm a stubborn man, I know what I like, and Nina's actually going for single gate on the high ground too. But I just realized that if you don't prevent these quick expands from happening, and unless your plan was to all in all along, like you immediately have a second pylon proxied with a tech facility, it's pretty much impossible to play the game from there. You can't just expand a lot later of a double gate opening. And this way it still works out for Nina, because Nina obviously only has a single gate investment too, and the Nexus is pretty much at the same time. It's just that the Nexus of DisK feels a little bit safer. But it is really important that this probe was here as early as it was, because otherwise Nina would just fall so far behind. And I don't really know how you win PvPs when you're 6-7 workers behind right off the get-go.
Yep, no, that's very, very, that's why you gotta send those probes across. Pretty much nobody skips probe scout in PvP, right? It's just...
No,
I don't know.
I was like, I wanted to be the last of the real ones, but there was nothing real about losing every PvP, so I stopped.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're much more of a real one if you just win the games, Roddy.
I know.
MMR
What can I say,
speeds.
mate? I tried to be special, okay?
Zella tries to be special, tries to run up here and get some info, but not really sure what the plan with that was. Did Nina not already know about this dog? Yeah.
Maybe worried that it got cancelled. Sometimes tech does get cancelled. Kind of cool how there was an Oracle in production while Nina was scouting. So if you take a look at Nina's vision, all that she will see is that there is an Oracle being... No, never mind. How does Nina see?
No, I think it's a little bit different. Like, it doesn't quite work like that when we look at the vision, but I'm pretty sure she saw an Oracle, and then after the probe died, it was what you're saying. Yeah.
But I thought the other game, it did look like an Oracle. When we checked that earlier, when it was a Showtime game or something. I don't know.
Maybe you just cancelled it too soon. Maybe like the probe wasn't finished dying, as dumb as that sounds.
Yeah, sometimes you have like a vision, you have vision for a second longer than you're supposed to have vision. Well, anyway, the Phoenix is gonna get revealed, and based on the amount of damage that this Phoenix has taken, Nina now knows that this is not an Oracle opening, but it's actually going to be Phoenix play coming out of DisK. And there are many ways to play with Phoenixes. Some people think just because you play Phoenix every game, it means you play the same strategy every game. That's not true, Waddy, and this is not personal at all. There are many different ways to play this out. As Nina is going full NA and drops a Nexus on the wrong side of the minerals at the gold base of DisK. I mean, I was about to say in the beginning of the game, if we don't see any gold bases being taken in a weird way, I'm gonna feel this is not a real NA game. I'm glad that it is a very real NA game.
Yeah, it's like we're playing like NA PvP bingo, man. It's like, oh, gold base as your third on the wrong side of the minerals. Yeah. Check off 3 different boxes with that one.
What a start! If I don't win this bingo game, I'm never gonna win one wide.
I know, it's actually ridiculous. Like, you just can't even make it up at this point. Like, I actually couldn't tell you one more ridiculous thing that could happen in this series.
DisK also take his gold and then they both mine from the same base. I don't know, that's all I got.
you laugh about this. When we had the Team Liquid map contest for this map, that actually happened. Sue stole Innovation's gold base from the other side, and Innovation found out when he landed his 4th base and started mining SCVs. And it like just so happened that his SCVs mined the last minerals and they disappeared, and suddenly there was a Walter hatch.
Oh my god. Nina even recalled 10 probes, which feel like against Phoenix as well. It's not exactly an opening that lacks map presence, right? And scouting. This is not one of these openings where you're like, oh, I just wish that I could scout what my opponent is doing. DisK is gonna spread his Phoenixes out now, but he turns around again. He's like, no, it feels like a hidden base, but I don't see it. And now he's gonna check the bottom, but he just flew hallucinated Phoenix over this. And you know that DisK knows something is up, and he's gonna check literally everything other than where the Nexus is actually taken.
Oh, I know.
I don't know what this is, man.
Maybe if you like F2s that Phoenix back home, maybe that would be
you see it.
Oh, no. Did he?
Yeah, I saw it. Yep, it's seen.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's already up and running, and now Blink is done, so Nina is like sort of okay with the fact. It's okay, they'll show up in time. They'll show up in time.
It's just so out of nowhere. I just look near probes in the sky. Alright, bro, a couple workers down. Blink comes across. Yeah, I think Nina can hold this. Nina's looking great.
Yeah, even quicker reinforcement now. This is basically also a gateway or a war prism. So now Nina's gonna have the Stalker advantage. Fighting in range of a shield battery is obviously very difficult, but the Stalker advantage is big. It's 19 against 10. And this build, as crazy as it looked, is actually going to work. As Nina wins the fight, kills the battery, he's gonna take down these remaining probes too. And DisK will know that he is in a lot of trouble. I can't believe it, Waddy, but it worked.
It worked wonderfully. Like, absolutely perfect. Just playing game, kill that super battery, and we are golden here. Nina, you don't have to fight the Stalkers, kill the super battery, maybe. Okay, we'll just let that be. Okay, well, just make it a bit more difficult than it needs to be. But you know what? I think it's still going to get the job done, Roddy. That force field now blocking the Stalkers from getting back in.
Yeah, you're right. That was like the one fight that you couldn't win. Just aim moving in range of a battery. That battery is so good, it will heal all the Stalkers up in time. But it doesn't change the fact there is still a big Stalker advantage on the side of Nina. And DisK knows it. Cannot win a fight with 12 against 23 Stalkers. And it's Nina who takes the 2-1 lead. After taking the sort of hidden gold base on the side of DisK, it worked out in it could not have worked out any better. By the time that DisK saw it, Blink was done, and Nina was ready to fight anyway.
You know what it is? It's like, I said what else crazy could happen, but actually I think the crazy thing is it works so well that it just looks like it's meant to be like a normal thing, right? Like, it was just so perfect. It worked. It was, yeah.
It translated into a timing attack. Like, how often does the hidden nexus in the center of the map then also serves as a reinforcement point to just hit the timing on the third base of your opponent? You could see that DisK really felt that something was up because he was checking everywhere and checking all these bases, and just this cannot be it. Like, something is happening. Yeah, by the time he put 2 and 2 together, it was just too late. And it's Nina who's taking the 2-1 lead. This is going to be tough for DisK.
Yeah, go win 2 in a row. And with the way that these games are going, well, I wouldn't like to have to try and win 2 in a row, because it just feels like even if you play your best StarCraft, you might not actually have a clue what's going on. It might just not even matter. So Lightshade will be the map that DisK must win to at least force a game number 5. So we'll start there and see if he can do step 1 of the 2 steps to win this series still. And yeah, Lightshade, another one which is obviously a kind of no ramp up into the natural directly. You do have ramps in front of the natural just a bit further out. So sometimes you see a mix of players trying to expand and players trying to get a bit aggressive if someone does expand. Something to maybe watch out for on Lightshade.
Yeah, and it's also, if I know it sounds weird to say that Nina has been playing standard after we just watched that gold base being taken and then being used as a way to reinforce her push. But her openings, you know, the first 5-6 minutes have actually been very standard and straight up. Well, it's DisK who's been the one trying to switch things up a lot. Proxy Stargate in game 1, the 8 Stalker rush in game 2, and then in game 3, yeah, we saw Phoenixes, and I guess that maybe wasn't that weird. But yeah, we'll see how DisK decides to approach this. Because I would normally say, if your back is up against the wall, tournament life on the line, you gotta play your most solid StarCraft. And that's just 2 Stalkers into an expand and then maybe 2 Sentries or Sentry and another Stalker. But now maybe it's time for Nina to bring some early game spice.
Well, it's time to find out. The loading screen is up. We're going to be in game any moment. And we're going to find out if DisK can keep his playoff run alive here. It's been a great run for him so far. Very impressive showing. It's time to see if he can really step up with his back against the wall. Everything to play for. Let's see what he can do. We're going to kick it off, though, in the top left with the player who is in the lead of the series, who could potentially go to the next round with this map win. It is Nina.
And in the bottom right side, we've got the man who's had an absolutely phenomenal showing in the group stage, winning 6 out of his 7 series. The playoffs not really working out so far. Let's see if he can turn it around. Representing Root Gaming, it is DisK.
All right. Excited to see what we get here. As I'm with you. I think DisK just kind of has to expand and play it straight up, because you can't afford to try and be aggressive and just fall behind again, right? When maybe you feel like the stronger player overall, you know, Nina's good enough to take advantage of the leads if you let them happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like Nina is weak in her macro game, and okay, this is nice. Kind of blocking that gateway from going down, where Nina would have liked to throw it down. Now I guess the Cybercore is going to be in a slightly different spot. Doesn't change that much, but it does make for an awkward wall.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not the end of the world, though. Definitely playable.
Unless you've got OCD, mate.
Well, yeah, if you like your walls to be the exact same way every single time, then then you're in trouble. I feel like Nina might just deal with it, though.
Yeah. Or she's very upset at spaghetti and everything falls apart. It's possible. We'll see him.
Playing a poker face on the camera. Not showing it.
True. Seems like he's unfazed after all. Stalkers on both sides. Yeah, I'm expecting this to display standard and straight up, as I know that he's capable of. And that is just expand. After these 2 units, maybe you can fire up the sentries before you want to expand. Anything else would just be a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Makes sense. Well, just going to be seeing a couple stalkers going to pop. And we're going to drop a balloon in the main. I guess we haven't had a mode spam. I mean, that's very NA.
Bingo. Got it all. I was the only one I was missing, buddy.
I'm still waiting on the cannon rush, man.
That is true. That's actually... But that's just the bonus. That's like the extras. That's the special price.
Cannon rush actually wouldn't even be like shocking compared to the previous games, so...
No, that'd be almost like going back to normal. But this is definitely going back to normal.
Yes.
I mean, DisK is doing the opening that we kind of expect. This is what I expected from him all along. As I said, it feels a little bit to me like an NA version of Showtime. It just really has a very mature, macro-oriented approach to most of his games. Scouts a lot and just expands. And if the opponent wants to be crazy, they can be crazy. DisK is just going to do what he believes is good. That hasn't really been the case so far in this best of 5. It's been DisK doing a lot of kind of weird and slightly different stuff, trying to get a lead one way or the other. But most of the time, just falling behind.
Yeah, well, he's definitely made it more difficult than it maybe needed to be. But I mean, I can appreciate coming into the series with the plan and stuff as well, right? But at some point, you just got to scrap it and go for, again, like your best style. Something that you're very comfortable with. And as we go in here, there's going to be a Robo before Twilight Council from Nina. So Nina's going to be a bit later on that blink. What do you get out of this Robo, Roddy? Just a bit of observer love?
what if Nina is gonna really switch things up and go for like some sort of a Zealot Immortal attack?
That'd be very fun.
It'd be NA.
Very different. That'd be NA, yeah.
One Immortal, one Warp Prism. Warp Prism immediately. Maybe a quick Dark Shrine. And Nina's definitely doing things a bit different than we are used to from high-level PvP. And Nina's obviously very good herself, so if she does it like this, there has to be a plan. If it's just Blink, then I can only assume that we're going to use this quick Warp Prism to sneak 2 Adepts into the main base.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I think the Prism Fist is actually pretty standard if you do go Robo right away, because you kind of need something to pressure with to make up for like later Blink, etc. Otherwise, you're just kind of paying for like faster vision, and then, 9 times out of 10 you're just behind, because if someone's not attacking you, then what's that extra vision really for? So I think the Prism get a little bit aggressive and then, macro up behind it. I think that probably makes the most sense here. And the Stalkers and Sentries coming across the map. Let's see what Nina can do. Blink ain't done just yet for DisK, so we'll just be playing this with his own set of units. And as a battery, of course, shouldn't really be in too much trouble with a battery, right?
Normally not, but it comes down to the force fields. I think if Nina does drop very good force fields, this can be awkward. And you can see that DisK was definitely sweating it a little bit, leaving a couple of units behind in the main. Even a safety battery. All right, look at this. There are 3 defensive shield batteries on the side of DisK, 2 in the natural and 1 in the main. This is what it looks like to be playing in the playoffs of the DreamHack SC2 Master Summer. They're really feeling the pressure. I don't think that DisK would normally react like this if he would have scouted what he just scouted.
Yeah. It's a shame. Immortal on the way up as well on either side. Yeah, it just feels like now DisK has Blink, but not really anything to do with Blink to kind of give you an advantage anymore, right? It's a little tough.
Next is quite a bit later too. Nina's just getting very nice advantages out of her early game. DisK definitely getting a bit nervous, feeling the pressure. The Phoenix will get the confirmation, I believe. I'll double check. But yeah, Phoenix did get the confirmation that there is a 3rd Nexus going up. Yes. Now DisK is just a little bit behind. Sometimes these batteries can come in handy later on. If there's a Warp Prism that shows up in your main base, suddenly your units will get healed by a battery you didn't have to begin with. But it can feel good for DisK, knowing that he just kind of overreacted to something that wasn't really happening.
Yeah, it feels bad, and I feel like that. You know what might just be coming through here as well? Maybe the experience of Nina a little bit in the bigger tournaments, in the deeper stages. Just keeping the cool, keeping the nerves under control. It's a big thing. We've talked about a lot this season with players like MaxPax, who struggled last year and obviously improved a lot, this year, but definitely has not let that affect him this year as well. That experience under his belt. Maybe that's something that DisK is just missing here for these later stages, because, like you say, it's just been making a couple things not look like they usually might. As here we go, the fight from Nina, who has a really good position to realistically just take down this 3rd base. And Immortal.
Yeah, the Immortal just gets picked off. Battery Overcharge is going to try to keep this Nexus alive for as long as it can. I mean, it's definitely putting in a lot of healing. Now it can start healing the Stalkers. Losing the Immortal the way that DisK did is painful, but this battery Wadi could very well make the difference. This is a crazy close fight. Stalker count is 20 against 19, but there's an Immortal showing up on the side of Nina, and DisK needs to take care of this Immortal, otherwise the DPS of this Big Daddy Immortal is going to be too much. What a close battle.
Oh my god, it was so low for so long. Wow. We got so many shots off initially, but DisK is going to start turning this around, blinking in to get some additional kills as well. What a defense. Back up against the wall, and he's going to keep himself alive.
Mate, I felt the pressure there, like being attacked with tournament life on the line. I can't believe how well DisK handled that. Obviously, the battery is really making the difference there, because it's not like both players have great micro. It's just that DisK was able to micro towards batteries, and then the Stalkers come back with some extra shields. And that is what allowed him to stay in there. Now DisK does have the advantage of charge being done, but what he doesn't have is the Stalker advantage. So he probably shouldn't get too aggressive. He's actually setting up a little bit of multi-prong here with the 4 or 5 Stalker hit squad at the bottom. The other Stalkers are going to try to go back in the natural, but Nina has vision of this. DisK, you need to slow down, mate. That was a great hold, but take a moment for yourself.
Yeah, I like the idea of putting a bit of pressure on, but now you just don't want to, let things slip away. He starts +2. He's actually going to be in decent position if he just kind of holds up for a little while. Nina is going to opt for the Dark Shrine. And that's something that did so much for her in one of those previous games, right? The DTs, I think, on Jagannatha really more than anything won her that game. And yeah, something to maybe go back to now, knowing that it was definitely a weakness of DisK back then.
Just incredibly good defense there by DisK. Obviously, we can once more see how important battery overcharge is. If it wasn't for battery overcharge, that Nexus goes down, and the other batteries weren't done in the beginning. So I think a lot of these Stalkers would have gone down too. The battery really saved DisK. Without overcharge, that's game over, what?
Absolutely, a bunch of Zealots going to warp in alongside the Stalkers here. And just going to be having those join this fight. Purely Stalkers from Nina coming across the map, who is also going into that Robo Bay, but DisK going to take the Temple Archive route, Roddy, so something a little bit different.
Well, we remember how successful that Prism was on Jagannatha, right? Where it took DisK almost a full minute to clean it up. The Dark Shrine of Nina is about to finish up, and Nina, her War Prism, has been chilling in the bottom side of the map for a little while. We're about to get another big warp in. There are 2 pylons powering 6 gateways, Wardy. If DTs and Zealots get on top of that, that could very well be the end, because DisK cannot afford to lose that much production.
I love the additional little warp in here as well. Just going to send one more DT off in a different direction just to cause chaos. And oh no, DisK. What a bad time to be moving out. He's got a huge army. He wants to hit with +2, but the DT counterattack is going to put in some serious work. The Stalkers start warping in this main base immediately.
Oh, no,
the Prism's so low!
What?
Oh no! Only one DT gets out.
Oh, this should have been so bad for DisK. There is one observer that's being recalled now. That other observer, where did it even go, Wardy? Where did that one random DT go?
Yeah, I don't know.
It chilled.
Just stood there. Oh.
6 probes, that could have been 16 plus probes, and that's an understatement. Oh my goodness, Nina, your prism was so low, you can't go in that deep if the prism is already this low. Man, DisK is like Neo in the Matrix here, mate. He's dodging bullets. He should have been out twice in this tournament.
Yeah, he really should have been, but he's keeping himself alive, Roddy, and that's all that matters. As we come around this bottom side, we're going to be seeing an army of DisK. I mean, he's going to lose his +2 advantage. Nina Disruptor's coming out, so DisK's still behind when it comes to, the actual tech here. It was a shame he got distracted still by the DT and dealing with it, right? That he wasn't able to jump with the +2 lead. 3 Disruptors at a time from Nina. We've been yelling for double Robo all day, Roddy. Now we get triple Robo.
Makes up. Seems like I'm going to make up for it. But the Disruptor count is not quite there yet, right? It's impossible to blink on top of it. Double Nova's going forward. One Nova is big. The other one did get picked off immediately. DisK does still have a big army. Another Disruptor shows up, but gets picked off. And I feel like if DisK is ever going to win this game, this could very well be the fight, Wardy.
It absolutely could be. Nina going to try and fight up. She just doesn't have really a way to get rid of these Archons or nothing equivalent. I mean, every single Disruptor just keeps walking into the army. I've got no idea why. DTs are here, and the DTs are going to be Nina's savior. Wow.
DisK's bank. DisK had 1,800 minerals in the bank and a bunch of gas too. A lot of that has just been spent by wiping in 13 Stalkers at a time. DisK, man, you gotta stop being aggressive if you don't have any observers, or even with a single observer, we probably gotta stop being aggressive. As he is now gonna drop 4 Zealots. There is 1 money pylon that's powering like almost everything, but Nina does have enough units in her main base to prevent that from happening. These games, and at the same time, DisK is collapsing on the base in the bottom left, so it's going to be perhaps 4 bases on the side of DisK against the 3 base setup of Nina. But Nina does have the triple Robo setup. And Marty, I'm losing my mind.
I know. Absolute chaos. Nina heavily supply blocked, losing a bunch of probes. It has a lot of Disruptors, while DisK has 0 Robo Bay just coming up to completion. I don't know, Roddy. Like, I've got absolutely no clue how this turns out, because I mean, DTs have saved the game for Nina and everything, right? Like, it's in line with the rest of the series. There's no other way to describe it. It's just been a fantastic back and forth game yet again.
I do feel that maybe DisK now is going a bit too heavy on the Archons, right? Like, Archons are great against a lot of Zealots, but Nina doesn't really have that many Zealots. And if you want to make something even more funny, the Zealots that Nina does have, they don't even have charge. So this is really not about the Zealots, it's about Stalkers and Disruptors. And Archons are not particularly great against either of those units. Oh, no, boss.
Yeah, I know what you mean, right? Against Stalker Disruptor, you kind of just want Stalker Disruptor. That's why you get stuck in Stalker Disruptor wars so often. So, yeah, I think the Archon's not really going to gain much for DisK here, and maybe that means his army supply advantage isn't as meaningful as it could be if that money had been spent elsewhere. Still good, though. He gets his second Robo up and running. He is starting to get 2 Disruptors, so maybe just felt like he needed some kind of tech to keep him going for a little while initially. Definitely think
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's probably the best that I can make of it too. And Archons sometimes, guys, they can be somewhat useful in these fights because if Stalkers A move and they shoot at multiple Archons at once, well, then these Archons become very tanky blue boys and they can soak up a lot of shots. It seems so hard to get a good fight with this many Archons. The Archons, they clump up like nothing, and it's very good if it's Archon against Archon, then the more the merrier. But Nina is not really going for the Archons. Nina's going for Stalkers and Disruptors. Nina's army is just better, even if it's smaller. But maybe a nice sandwich, as the Zealots do get a surround. Nina can obviously blink away from there. For some reason, she decides not to do it.
Yeah, and then her Disruptors, I think, clipped her own Archons, which isn't useful either. Oh, the triple kill, though. We've been kind of hating on the Archons, and, well, they're definitely showing us why.
Yeah, Archon's just not that good there. That's a crazy forward blink, but it does work out. DisK is now misreading a couple of Stalkers. I don't think he's paying attention. He was not paying attention. Yeah, you know that army advantage DisK had? Well, it's gone. After a fight that wasn't even much of a fight. It's just, Archons are no bueno there.
Yeah, the Archons really do just feel like wasted resources. Would have been better off just banking and hoping that he survives to spend it on, you know, better stuff. Maybe go triple Robo. 13 Disruptors to 3, Roddy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Sometimes, though,
difference.
You know what they say, Waddy? One shot is all it takes.
You're gonna add another dash to your whiteboard, count that number up again. Well, there's one shot, Roddy, as we're gonna blink in, deny the next disruptor of Nina as well. Well, the best moment for Nina finally gets a connection on a couple Stalkers. So yeah, that's definitely the right route to be taken for DisK.
Oh, this shot later there, so he has to be very careful. He does let one good shot. No, he loses the Disruptor. That could have been the shot that would have dropped Nina 30 or 40 supply. But Nina got on top of it. At least DisK is going to buy some time for himself to get a few more Disruptors out. Seems like he panic warped in a few Zealots in the top side. And it's in 12 against 3. It doesn't feel like a fair fight, does it?
I kind of thought Nina was going to blink forward there. There's only one Disruptor left, but doesn't find the chance. As DisK Disruptor wanted to die. Apparently, he was just walking in for it. He's going to get to the right side. He's going to be a little bit kind of caught up. DT showed up, and there is an observer. There is an observer.
You're right.
It's going to be okay, it seems. And now the observers of DisK again dangerously close forward as well. But Nina's completely back into a corner. Yeah.
No, fire!
Oh no, Nina just blinked! Oh, too late! Oh my god, the left side Disruptor is massive.
Yeah, it does get a good one. And this army of Nina is still kind of stuck. It's a bit too big to recall out. Zealots are coming in from the right, but the number's not quite there yet. One more shot from the high ground gets a good connection with 2 Disruptors. All right, now we're going to recall some units out, and that means the Stalkers can just blink on the rest of it. What the hell is this PvP best of 5 between DisK and Nina?
It feels like it might be starting to head to game 5 for Roddy. Nina really messed up getting trapped in that corner. I don't know why she felt like she needed to go there. I know the base is there, but you're not usually looking to get on top of a base because of exactly that, right? And no. Oh yeah, this is getting awkward as well. It's getting too close for my liking, Roddy. Oh god.
Neither player saw the other army. I kept checking both visions. It was so close as Nova comes in from the right side. It's DisK who fires first. So it's DisK who will get the kill, and DisK just wants to get a fight. There's no shield battery there, so that's actually a great moment for those Zealots to just A-move. Obviously, DisK doesn't have the information that we have as observers and casters, and we can see that the Disruptor count isn't quite there yet. And he's gonna play it out safe with his tournament live on the line, and I can't blame him. This has to be like one of the wildest PvPs best of 5s I've seen.
Yeah, no, it's really had everything. DisK definitely seemed to get the upper hand whenever it comes to the Disruptor stage, right? Like, you know, he's played from behind and able to play catch up and able to get back in both the times he's won. I say both the times he's won, assuming he maybe comes out to win this. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but just seems to be obviously hedging in that direction. Oh, they're reminiscent of game number 1. Disruptor shots here. Let's see what Nina can do. Nothing really major.
Wow, I love that Nina sneaked a couple of Disruptors in her mineral line. I didn't even see them. But DisK is way better than us, and he did see them, so he's able to avoid those shots too. I love how Nina is going for the 19-minute charge timings. You know, charge ain't bad, is it? It's like, it's pretty cheap too.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Meanwhile, this gets Blink DTs online, which definitely will help. Nina loses a chunk of DTs in the center. Expensive losses when everything else is so close. Those are not the kind of losses you want to be having.
DisK only has a single observer, needs to be really careful with that, because we know that Nina, of course, has her own Dark Shrine. And those Dark Templars may not have Blink yet. DTs have messed this up more than once in this series.
Yeah, the DTs have been terrifying, actually. It's definitely been one of the weaknesses for DisK. If there's one thing I don't want to see us in this game right now, probably is the DTs. Oh, I guess you want to see them with the observer so you can kill them off, but DTs here going to be the defense from Nina.
Was that a dad joke?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Nina, I feel like we've been there before, and the last time you were there, it wasn't very good.
I know.
Marty, why did we get ourselves in the same awful spot twice?
Did we press rewind on the...
It's happening again.
What is it about this position that she wants to move in for? I mean, she gets some disruptor shots initially, firing more disruptors. Complete another chaos once again, but it seems as though DisK is starting to make it work as Nina's now losing all of the disruptors, but she gets a few in return. DisK comes out with more stuff. The disruptor shot from Nina at the end hits big time. Nina on the run trying to save DTs with this also. Wow.
I mean, that was actually a better fight than before, as DisK was like not exactly sure when he wanted to go for it, and then when he finally did, he did eat 1 or 2 big Novas to the face. Kind of struggled landing his own Novas. He's like, this is too good to be true. I just cleaned the floor with that army, and now it's here again. And was a bit hesitant, and I guess second guessing himself. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind though is that Nina is now on 5 bases. DisK is not on 5 bases yet. And I also feel that DisK has been mining a bit more of the top right, so that's going to run out a lot earlier. Nina is going to start out mining DisK again in the near future.
Yeah, and then maybe you play catch up a little bit, and then maybe this game turns once again as we're back on the roller coaster of wild games, Roddy. You're just going to see this disruptor shot landing a little bit short, doesn't quite connect. DTs showing up from DisK, and that's going to be massive. Into the mineral line, getting a bunch of worky kills. I feel like what DisK's been missing, some actual good old harassment, is
top right.
Disruptors doing great.
Take a look at the top right.
Yeah.
We also have Dark Templars ravaging everything, and now DisK is forced to recall. So DisK's Dark Templars finding a lot of success, but the DTs of Nina also finding a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't possibly have one player, destroy an entire mineral line of probes without the other guy doing the exact same, right? Like, just doesn't really work like that in this series, apparently, as Nina coming down, chasing disruptors with a couple of zealots. Look like this disruptor will just go down at the very end.
And now Nina with the follow-up link gets another one for her efforts. And let's not forget about the 8 Dark Templars that are still going strong. They make their way to the top right side again. And Nina will find more success with her DTs. And it seems like DisK just about had it with this game, but I don't think his army is quite good enough to end the game. Sure, it's 17 Stalker advantage, but those DTs, DisK has always been low on observers. This time we have 2 apparently. Waddy. Can DisK just end it? I don't know if he can end it, man. I really don't think he has the army to just end the game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, I guess, maybe because Nina's got so much across the map. Obviously, that's going to make sure that DisK is maybe kept down a base overall. These DTs are putting in serious work. There's Disruptor being jumped on as well. There's an observer right there, too. So just to see a Disruptor shot dead center, the blink in. I don't even know if it saved any Stalkers or not, because some of them landed on the ramp again. 3 Disruptors building at once as DisK looks to shut down this main base production, but Nina's on the way home. I don't know, Roddy, man. I just don't know. The game's too crazy.
There are still 9 Dark Templars slicing up everything on the right side of the map. So sure, DisK is taking care of the main base and a lot of the production. If I'm Nina, I start building gateways immediately on the bottom side, and that is exactly what she does. It's important to build a core there too. Too often in base threat scenarios, you rebuild all your gateways, then the gates are done, and you're like, oh, all I can make is zealots? Like, I don't want to make zealots. I need stalkers here. I think that Nina can win this.
Yeah, I mean, her army supply is even now, and we're just going to see disruptor shots. I mean, you actually see DisK just going to start blinking out of the main down to the low ground. So this attack from the main is going to be kind of done. You can see Nina's kind of chasing. He kind of feels confident to chase a little bit. Has a couple Zelts to take the lead as well, so will be very tanky. Disruptor shot from the other side. The Disruptor. Nina goes down, but then the DT shot from the right side, Roddy. So DisK is losing all of these Stalkers as well. As the Observer gets shot down from Nina. So the Observer survives from DisK. A Disruptor shot comes through. Nina dodges it. Someone's doing something. Oh my god, it's just chaos absolutely everywhere. I've said chaos more times in this series than I have in my entire life.
DisK moves out of the main. Nina chases the army. DisK wants to kill the DTs. Nina wants to flank the army of DisK. DisK flanks with the Disruptors. Nina flanks with the DTs. And everything died. But in the end, Nina is the one with still a mining base in the bottom left side. And DisK does not. And that means that every second that has gone by was a good one for Nina. As C moves on to the next round after an absolutely amazing PvP bust.